Hello, I'm the Doctor.
Hey Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. This is episode 19. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome. I hope you guys have had a good week. Seeing as Doctor Who is no longer on our screens, it's been one of those times where we have to occupy ourselves on a Saturday night. So what have you been up to, Adam?
Well, I've been watching a bit of classic. It's brilliant, actually. Seeing all the guys, all the people I chat to on the forums of Facebook, sees everybody's dived into classics. Like, everyone's getting withdrawals, so they're like, right, what can we do? And it's brilliant seeing all these people like ordering. I saw one of the guys ordered Seeds of Doom recently, and he's never watched it, and I was like, that's brilliant. You know, it's just great seeing all these people getting into all the classic stuff because of the new series. So yeah, and I've been doing the same. I've been rewatching some classics. Yeah,
it's probably par for the course, isn't it?
I think it's a must.
Yeah, well, you have to be watching something to do with Doctor Who. You can't just not watch it.
Oh, actually, I meant to say to you, my Series 8 DVD, the special edition, turned up today, which was a bit of a surprise. Yeah, yeah. I've scheduled a post. It'll be on Facebook in about 15 minutes, but I'll put a picture on the podcast Facebook as well. But it's it's very nice indeed.
Wow, Series 8.
Yeah, I haven't even had a chance to look at what's on it, because I wanted to see what commentaries are on there, because I know some people are saying that none of the commentaries feature Peter and Jenna, and I don't know if that's true, but if it is, it's a bit slack. I was really hoping they'd be on there, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't had a look at it yet, but what I have seen looks good.
Okay.
Came with some postcards, and you can push the button on the front and it makes the TARDIS sound. You've ordered the same one, haven't you?
Yeah, did you get the Blu-ray set or the DVD?
I got the Blu-ray set, yeah.
Okay, and because I remember on the BBC website it said artwork to be confirmed, but did it look like that? Was it the purpley blue TARDIS thing? That's
it, yeah, blue TARDIS with all the sort of dimensions and lines, and it came with some postcards that are kind of shoved in the back of it on the outside of the box, which I remember they did on a Blu-ray special edition a few years back for Series 5, and I think that because the DVD box is bigger, they sometimes have the postcards inside, so it's a bit neater. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah,
whereas on the Blu-ray, there's nowhere to put them. They're just sort of, because it's cellophane, they're just on the back, and then obviously once you open it, you can't put them inside. So be interesting to see if the DVD actually houses the postcards. But yeah, from having a quick look at it, I haven't been home very long. I sort of opened it, was like, whoa, it had BBC Shop on the box. I guessed what it was, and it's pretty impressive so far. Comes with about 6 postcards, and I almost wondered if some were missing, because it gives you sort of a postcard from the first 2 episodes, then it sort of jumps to the 4th episode, and they're all numbered on the back, like Series 8, Episode 4. So it almost seems like they've only given you half the postcards, if you see what I mean.
Yeah,
which is a bit odd, but still nice.
Okay, cool. If you go, talking of DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff, I was in HMV the other day, and they had a whole kind of end of unit display for Doctor Who, which I thought was very cool. But it had a load of covers and like DVD and Blu-ray covers that I didn't recognise, and I'm guessing is this. I'm sure you posted a picture on Facebook at some point of all of some of the covers from the blue, the big box set that was released. Yeah. It looks like those that they've released individually.
Right, I haven't actually seen these, the physical thing, but I've seen them online. I think they've reissued each series. As far as I know, they've only done it on DVD.
Right.
They might have done it on Blu-ray, but I've only seen online the DVD, and they've used the covers that were in the Series 1 to 7 box set.
Right,
so they kind of just sort of repackaged them and put them out.
Okay.
I haven't actually physically seen them.
These must be the DVDs then.
Right, yeah.
But I'm not too keen on them, buddy. They're
a bit simple, aren't they? A bit simplistic in cover.
Yes, and they don't look because the format that the Beeb went with the box sets when they released them periodically, as time's gone on since 2005. They've had these quite nice covers where it's like quite a simple background, but it's got like a photo of like David Tennant, for example, or with Billy Piper or whatever, in like this really cool pose, whatever. But these ones, they seem a little bit like almost like they're aiming for like the kiddie market almost.
They look a bit. They look a bit sort of budget, don't they?
Yeah.
The only one I do like the series 4, is it, with the Dalek Shadow and Catherine Tate and the David Tennant. I like that cover, but I agree with you. The rest of them look a bit shoddy.
Yeah.
I've seen it's amazing when you see fan made ones and they're so good. And you sort of think, and then you sort of see the official ones, and they look like bootlegs that you'd get at Wembley Market or something. Yeah.
There was. I'm sure I saw a load of decent covers. I think it was on Gallifrey Base, or something like that. Yeah, a guy had done a load of them. They looked awesome.
Oh, I've seen some fan made ones where they've done like the complete first Doctor and the complete second Doctor as if it's a box set. They look brilliant. Yeah, you think, God, why can't the BBC do that? It's amazing.
Yeah, damn BBC.
Damn the BBC.
Dude.
Yes.
Let's do the news.
Let's do the news. What's in the news?
What's in the news? First up in the news, it's going to be a Capaldi-based news, I think, this week. The first one, you guys have probably seen this. Quite incredible, actually. That apparently this is not the first time that Capaldi's been involved with Who. And I'm not talking about this ancient letter that he wrote, as a kid to the... What was that? What did he write? Was it the official Doctor Who fan club?
Yes, I think I think he wrote a few, actually. Some to the Radio Times and some to the Who fan club. Yeah. He's quite active Who fan. Yeah,
so I'm not referencing that going back too far, but apparently he actually went for, or was invited to audition for the Eighth Doctor for the movie.
I couldn't believe it when I saw this. I was like, really?
How do we not know?
That's amazing. Yeah. I know, it's amazing. And even Stephen Moffat didn't know. Stephen Moffat nearly fell off his chair in the video clip. Did you see him? He was like, what?
Yeah.
As if as if you didn't tell me that.
Old Moffat, he didn't know anything about it, did he?
No, he didn't. No, but how incredible is that to think, he could have been, but he didn't even do an audition or anything, did he? He actually turned down the audition. Is that right? He didn't.
That's correct. Yeah. So we have to be clear on this, because I've seen on a couple of websites that they've reported that that Capaldi actually went for it, but didn't originally go for it and just turn it down. But that's not the case. So what happened was he was asked to audition for it. But he turned it down even at that stage. So it's not like he went for it and then turned it down after thinking about it.
And I wonder why, because it's on record that we all know he's a big fan of the show and it's his dream role. Must have been something about it that he didn't feel comfortable, or something didn't sit right with him. Obviously, it's because he didn't even do an audition for it. So interesting.
It is interesting. There's a quote that during the interview, it said he loved it so much that he didn't want to have the disappointment of going for something that he would never get.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it's a bit of, I'm not sure if that was a confidence crisis or I'm not sure, but so he was actually asked to come and audition for the movie, and didn't work out.
I mean, you can sort of imagine him in it, though, can't you? You can imagine him doing that, the whole bit when he's on the floor, who am I? You can really imagine Capaldi tearing into that scene and stuff. So you can imagine him doing it. Yeah,
that'd be. I mean, on one hand, it's great that he didn't, because Paul McGann's such a fantastic Doctor.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm glad that he did get it. So,
just on a very quick side note, are you listening to any of the Paul McGann audios? Have you got into any of those? Because he's fantastic on the Big Finish.
Yes, I've got 2 of his audios. I think The Chimes of Midnight.
Good one.
And Into Darkness. Is that the title?
Yeah. God, I haven't listened to that for you. Yeah. One of the earlier ones. Yeah, he's phenomenal.
Yeah,
love Paul McGann.
I will get the Dark Eyes box set.
They're brilliant. Mate.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for it to drop in price just a smidge.
Oh, I know. They're a bit. Yeah, I mean the pre-order price, I can't remember, was nowhere near what it's like. £40 now, which is a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, even if you go on a Big Finish site now and do a search for Dark Eyes, the first box set, that is still £40. The first one.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I've got no problem paying £40 for it, because I think it would be very good, because you've got it yourself, haven't you? It's a great story.
It is very good, yeah.
I don't mind paying £40 for it. I really don't. The only reason why I'm not paying £40 for it is because I missed out on, because Big Finish sometimes tweet out these offers, don't they? And I was away for the weekend or whatever it was. I came back and I'd missed the offer that they were selling Dark Eyes for £10.
£10, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
wow.
I didn't know until I got back. I got back from holiday, vacation, whatever. I was going through emails and tweets. I saw it and I was a day late. So after going through that, I can't pay £40 for it.
No, definitely not. And they do these offers quite regularly, so just keep your eyes peeled.
Yes, and I'm hoping with the new ones coming out. Is it next year? Dark Eyes 3?
Dark Eyes 3's just come out.
Or sorry, okay.
Yeah, it's literally just been released, and then next year, obviously, is 4. But number 3 has only just been released in the last few days.
Okay, I read you, yeah. So I'm hoping now that these other ones have come out, the first one might drop a bit. Or I might just treat myself at Crimbo, just get the lot. I don't know.
They often do offers over Christmas. They do they nearly always do like special offers at Christmas. So yeah, be worth keeping your eye out for that one. And actually, the Eighth Doctor Adventures, they did 4 series of that. They're really good as well. And the last series sort of builds up to Dark Eyes. Don't have to listen to it before Dark Eyes. You can still enjoy Dark Eyes on its own, but I would recommend listening to series 4 of Eighth Doctor Adventures, because it really leads nicely into it, and it's quite a shocking ending to that series, which is why he's in a certain place at the start of Dark Eyes. So while you're on your Christmas list, yeah, I really do recommend them. It's very good. Sheridan Smith's brilliant with Paul McGann.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, so
cool.
yeah, worth a listen.
So you heard that there, people. If you're thinking of Dark Eyes, grab that one before.
Yeah, the ending to the 4th series actually left me shocked. I was like, I can't believe it. But yeah, they're really good stories as well. They're really good fun. Okay,
cool. So back to Capaldi. You had some interesting times with Mr. Capaldi.
Yeah, I know. I actually got to meet him and managed to get a very blurry iPhone picture with him. Basically,
such a good photo.
Yeah, I was pleased. I mean, I was lucky because there was so many people behind me that didn't get to sort of meet him, and he was trying to meet as many people as possible. He's absolutely amazing with the fans. Basically, I went to this thing on Sunday afternoon. It was called An Afternoon with Mark Gatiss and Friends, and it was to raise money and awareness for the London Lesbian and Gay Switchboard. And basically there was Peter Capaldi, Andrew Scott, who's Moriarty and Sherlock, Sue Perkins, Miranda Richardson, Darren Brown, Amanda Abingdon, and they all basically just joined Mark Gatiss on stage, and they all had a bit of a chat and everything. Peter Capaldi was fantastic. I mean, they sort of threw they threw questions from the audience. They asked the audience if they what to ask.
Yeah.
And basically Peter Capaldi said that he wanted his own TARDIS. He really would love to see the Roundels come back. He thinks his Doctor would suit the sort of 60s console room, which got a massive cheer. He's like, I really want the Roundels back.
Oh, cool.
He said he kind of said it's all down to budget. He said, I've kind of inherited Matt's TARDIS, but basically he worded it very well. He wasn't sort of nasty or anything. He said, the BBC are very careful with license payers' money, so obviously I inherited Matt's TARDIS. He said the same applied to the Sonic. He kind of hoped he'd get his own Sonic, but again, the budgetary, they think there's still usage in Matt's Sonic, which is why he's got it. And he also said, and this got another huge cheer, that he hopes he doesn't regenerate for a very long time, which was great, because obviously we've been talking about how long he's going to be in the role recently, and it was so nice to hear him confirm that he really is enjoying it and wants to stay in that role for some time. So yeah, 3 really, really sort of great things to hear come from the man himself.
Wow, that's awesome, because on the last episode, you and I were talking about some of the rumours that were going around about how long his contract would be, and there was quite a lot of chatter about this being his only season. He was going to bow out at the Christmas special.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's great news that he's really into it, because he's signed on, hasn't he, for Series 9? That's been confirmed now.
Well, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Moffat is confirming all this stuff, and none the BBC aren't sort of confirming anything. But yeah, Moffat has confirmed that he's in Series 9.
Yeah,
for sure, which is great.
But Jenna Coleman hasn't.
She hasn't been confirmed. No. She's not going to be in it.
Everybody's stroking their chin, making that noise. What's going on there?
She's out of it.
Yeah.
But I just got to say how amazing Capaldi was with the fans, because, you know, none of those other guys came out after the show.
Right.
Mark Gatiss was brilliant. When he went into the theatre, he signed loads of autographs, had loads of pictures. He was great. They were all running late, of course, so they literally, when they got there, they were straight in the theatre. But afterwards, everybody rushed around to the stage door. It was absolutely rammed. I couldn't tell you how many people were there, but let me tell you, there was a lot. None of them came out. Andrew Scott from Sherlock, you know, Moriarty didn't even entertain it. Peter Capaldi really didn't have to come out, and he did. Do you know what I mean? The guy who was on the sort of stage door said, "Look, Peter said he'll come outside and meet you guys." And obviously, like, I was thinking, how on earth is he going to cope with this crowd? And he just did. He just came out and he spent ages, mate. He just spent ages signing, having all, you know, doing photos and stuff. And he really didn't have to do it. None of the other guys did. Do you know what I mean? He could have quite easily just stayed in there drinking or crept out the front or just left. You know what I mean? He really didn't have to do it. And it was amazing how sort of generous he was with his time. And as I say, even when he had to go, I mean, he must have spent, I think he was there for a good 45 minutes to an hour. My partner says it wasn't that long, but I felt like we were there for ages waiting to meet him, and I kept getting closer and closer, and there were, you know, it was a bit of a scrum. There's loads of pushing and shoving and stuff. And eventually he said, "Look, I'm going to have to go, guys. I'm sorry." And, you know, there was loads of people still waiting to meet him. But yeah, he's incredible with the fans. I'm really impressed.
Oh, that's cool.
Impressed with him. Yeah, really impressed.
That reminds me of Mr. Tennant.
Oh, really?
He's very much like that. Yeah, whenever he does, not just Doctor Who as well, and whenever he does like anything on stage and that sort of stuff, he's always out by the stage door, always happy, which is really weird, because when he did some Shakespeare earlier on in the year, or late last year, I think he was doing Richard III, I'm pretty sure, at the stage door, it was always just chock-a-block with Who fans. And he just had no problem at all in just standing out there, having photos taken, signing autographs, and he just doesn't seem to mind. So I love it when actors are like that, because there's nothing worse than meeting like somebody who you admire on screen and they turn out to be a complete douche.
No, that's right.
There's nothing worse. So that's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I've heard that about David Tennant. I've never been lucky enough to meet him. I've come very close a couple of times at signings and stuff, but I have heard he's really good.
Yeah.
It does make such a difference.
I'm really hoping he's going to jump on a couple of conventions next year, because he has done a few Doctor Who conventions already, not like the mainstream ones like Comic-Con or Collectomania. I'm talking about some more sort of quieter ones.
Tennant or
Tennant. Yeah. Yeah. So that's really cool, dude.
Yeah, it was amazing, absolutely brilliant, amazing experience.
Next bit of news.
Yeah, talking of legends,
let's go from one to another. That lovable old guy, Bernard Cribbins.
Oh, he is as well, isn't he? I just think Bernard Cribbins is just like you said, a legend, proper legend.
He is, isn't he? He's been around for donkey's years as well.
He has, hasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, so he's getting an award, which is very cool. Apparently, I've not heard of this one before, but apparently he's getting the J.M. Barrie Award. Which now,
what is this, Gary? You'll have to tell me.
Yeah, so essentially it's the Action for Children's Arts J.M. Barrie Award is given. They give it every year, and it's normally to people who have been working in the industry a long, long time, and it's just basically to just award them for their services towards stage, film, television, especially anything towards children, basically.
Okay.
And it's presented as part of the Great Ormond Street Children's Charity Award, so it's all geared around like kids and and that kind of stuff. So I can't think of anybody nicer at this. As they normally give it to like more older actors, really. People have really earned their stripes in the industry, and so Bernard Cribbins more than deserves it, in my opinion, because he's been around for so long, and he's been in so many things that there's probably loads of things that he's been in I don't even know.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you looked on his what's it called, I always get the letters wrong, IMDb or international. Yeah. I mean, he's had a phenomenal career when you look back over all the stuff he's done. Yeah.
And loads, like since he was in the 1966 Daleks Invasion of Earth.
That's right, yeah.
Peter Cushing, yeah. Nobody knows that.
I love that film. Love it.
Yeah, that's really cool. So he's been involved with Doctor Who for many, many years.
He was the policeman. I wish I could remember the character's name.
Oh, yeah.
I should know it. Can what say Campbell? Something Campbell? Oh, but yeah, he's really great in that film, isn't he?
Yeah, he's brilliant. And obviously,
so much fun.
Obviously as I'm going to call him a companion, Wilf. He was a companion, wasn't he?
Oh, I think so. I love the character of Wilf. And him and Tennant together were brilliant.
Yeah, really cool. I mean, I know that The End of Time doesn't really get very good reviews, but Wilf and the Doctor were very, very good together in that.
Yeah.
Quite emotional as well.
I always wanted to... Actually, this just reminds me of the last series, but not that I want to remind you of Death in Heaven. But I just thought about the scene where Wilf salutes the 10th Doctor in just before he's about to regenerate. And it always annoyed me that the Doctor just sort of gives him this glum face and doesn't salute back. There's always a little thing that's niggled me in that scene, because I'm always like, no, show Wilf some respect, give him a salute. But maybe that's just a Doctor thing that he doesn't salute then.
Yeah, well,
because I love Will so much,
Let's be honest. At the end of Series 4, Mr. Tennant was incredibly grumpy.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Yeah, he did go a bit dour.
Yeah, because that scene at the end where he goes off and he says goodbye to the various people. There's not one smile. There's not a wave. Hardly anything really. It's just a very stern face, quite grumpy. I'm not sure. There could have been a slightly bit more upbeat, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it's funny. It's been a while since I've watched that two-parter. Do you know? I think it's due a rewatch in the Geeks household. Yeah. I haven't watched that one for a while.
Yeah, I was listening to another Doctor Who podcast a few months ago.
A rival podcast.
A podcast. A podcast.
No,
you say?
We love all podcasts.
We do, and this particular podcast absolutely destroyed it. The End of Time, Part 1 and 2.
Really?
I mean, this particular podcast are very, very. They're very critical about Doctor Who. That very, very rarely do they give a thumbs up completely. They're very, very. Don't get me wrong, they're extremely knowledgeable and they're very funny guys and they know their stuff, but they're very hard to please. And for The End of Time, Part 1 and 2, they just took him to the cleaners.
Really?
Yeah, this went nuts.
No, I do need to give it a watch. I remember liking it. I don't remember, it had its faults. There were bits I didn't really like, but I do remember enjoying it. I don't remember sort of thinking it was a bad send off particularly.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like it. It's because I really like 10, but I along with some other episodes, I understand its flaws. I get that it's not the best and all that stuff, but still, it's not the best end of series finale. But then again, we've had worse.
Yeah. Yes. Tried not to mention it.
Bernard Cribbins, well deserved.
Definitely.
Yeah. Adam.
Yes.
Shall we do our retrospective review?
Let's do it.
The 5 Doctors.
Whoa.
So that's what it's all about. I never dreamed. It changes nothing. Absolutely nothing. We lure the force field, get the young fellow back from Gallifrey, and all go home. This doesn't concern us. It mustn't.
What does the inscription say?
Yes, I'd quite like to know as well.
Yes, we've all been through a great deal to get here.
You tell them.
It's Old High Gallifreyan, the ancient language of the Time Lords. Not many people understand it these days.
Fortunately, I do.
It's all very interesting, I'm sure, Doctors, but what does it say?
That this is the tomb of Rassilon, where Rassilon lies in eternal sleep.
It also says that anyone who's got this far has passed a number of dangers and shown great courage and determination. What does this bit mean?
To lose is to win, and he who wins shall lose.
I know what it says. What does it mean?
It also promises that whoever takes the ring from Rassilon's hand and puts it on shall get the reward he seeks.
What reward?
Immortality.
What, live forever, never die?
That is what the word means, young man.
But that's impossible.
Apparently not.
It seems Rassilon possesses it now and is willing to share it with whoever takes the ring.
Thank you, gentlemen. That is exactly what I needed to know.
The Master's back.
Oh, even that little clip puts a massive smile on my face.
Yeah.
Seriously, I just love it.
Great scene. All of them working it out. It's like pulling teeth, that bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
they're all working it,
To lose is to win, and he who wins shall lose.
Oh, it's amazing.
Brilliant.
And then the
Anthony
master
Ainley
pops up. Yeah.
camping it up as the master, and I love him in this. I absolutely. He still looks like he's reveling in it. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, he's cool. Very, very cool. And he was a good master, I thought.
Yes, he is. I mean, he's for me, Roger Delgado is the definitive master, but I think Anthony Ainley. I just love him as the master. I mean, he was the master when I grew up, so I kind of didn't know any better for many years. But yeah, I think he's great.
He did camp it up a bit, though. You are right.
He does camp it up, yeah, but it kind of works. He does the pantomime villain, but he doesn't overdo it in my book.
Yeah.
You know, I still think he plays it well. And and I just love him in this. Even in that little clip, he's really sort of going for it, isn't he?
Yeah. So this was first broadcast when I was a wee lad.
It was
1983.
And I've got a little factoid for you that I know you'll love.
Shoot.
Did you know that this was actually broadcast in the US 2 days before it was broadcast in Britain? So they got to see it first. So even then they were getting preference. Yeah, they got it on the 23rd of November, and we got it 2 days later in the UK. I just thought I'd tell you that because I know how much you love it, that our US fans get privileges like this.
Oh, mate, why have you said that?
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to bring it on a downer. I just wanted to tell you.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, I didn't know that. The only reason I knew that is because I was looking on the old Wikipedia, so it might not even be true. Gary, come back to me.
Is this like is the BBC? Have they got connection? Are they like some sort of UN kind of ambassador thing? Are we in America's pocket or something?
Ladies and gentlemen, I must apologise. I tipped Gary over the edge. I never should have mentioned it. I'll make up for it by not saying the word season for the rest of the podcast.
Cool.
So yeah, sorry, mate. What were you saying?
Yeah, so 1983.
Yeah.
Terrence Dicks, directed
Legend.
by Peter Moffat.
Mm.
Any relation?
No, I don't believe so. I always get confused between him and there's another director as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no relation to the Moff.
Cool. Which is a good thing. Why is that a good thing? That was stupid. Doesn't matter, does it?
Not that we know of.
Not that we know of. Anyways, The Five Doctors. So, I watched this for the first time 2 weeks ago.
Is it the first time you've seen it?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, so I thought, I've got about 5 unwatched classic DVDs on the shelf. I thought, no, I'll buy another one. So I ended up ordering The Five Doctors.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, did you watch the original version or the special edition? Because, they altered it. It took ages for the original to actually come out on DVD.
I watched, when I put the DVD in, on the menu, it said the broadcast edition.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad about that.
I thought you would be.
Yeah. I don't like it when they tamper with things.
Yeah,
they put all these new effects on it that sort of were dated before they even managed to get it out. And yeah, just give me the original. Although I like to see the extra scenes, that's interesting. But
okay,
yeah,
no, this was definitely the original.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I can relax now.
You can sleep tonight now.
That's it, because I was worried about that.
So the story is thus. There's a guy who's on the Gallifreyan Council. The president, is it the president? Lord President Barusa. Yep. He's after the ring of Rassilon, right, for eternal life. Mm-hmm. So he, in order to get into Rassilon's tomb, am I saying Rassilon's tomb?
Yeah, Tomb of Rassilon.
That's it. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Remember, I only saw this 2 weeks ago. I watched it again last week, but anyway. So in order to get there, though, because it's like full of booby traps and whatnot, he gets the Doctor in his previous carnations to sort all that stuff out, so he can just waltz in and take the ring.
That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Pretty much it, yeah.
Yeah.
So we see. So this is set in the time period of the Peter Davison era. So we see the incarnations previous to that. Unfortunately, we don't see too much of one of them, which we'll come on to in a bit. But for the most part, they're all there. And so it's got it's kind of a strange story, really, because I found that it was very blocky. I don't mean that negatively. It was kind of done in blocks with each Doctor, and then they all kind of joined up at the very end.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I tell you, dude, I really, really liked it.
Oh, I'm glad, because I love this story.
Really, really good. I know it's not the longest. It doesn't go into... It's not a very timey... This is going to sound really weird. It's not a very timey-wimey story, even though it is dealing with... Oh, my God. Even though it's dealing with timey-wimey stuff with, like, all these previous Doctors, it is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about it. I mean, when you consider how many elements are thrown in there, like how many Doctors you've got, how many old enemies you've got, all these things, it could have been a real jumbled mess. And yet you're right, because it's, each one's allowed their own sort of block, like you said, their own little bit, and then it all comes together at the end. It works incredibly well. Yeah. I think Terrence Dicks did an amazing job, because he does keep it nice and simple. Like I said, it could have been really overly complicated and a complete mess, but I just think it's really simple. It's a nice, easy watch with loads going on and just loads of throwbacks for fans of the show. For me, because it was the 20th anniversary celebration, wasn't it?
That's
I always used to think it was the 25th, but of course it was the 20th.
Yes.
And I just think I just think it does everything it needed to do without sort of blowing it, really.
Yeah, it was very cool. And I after I watched it the second time, I sat there and I thought, this really is just such great storytelling for Doctor Who, because you've got all these different elements within the story, but it all just seems to fit really nicely. Everything slots in to a really nice conclusion at the end, and it doesn't draw out this really long, climatic, scene at the end. It wraps it up fairly quickly. It's more about the build up and more about seeing each Doctor go through their respective, parts of the story, which is really cool. But I did think after I watched it the second time, I thought to myself, and I'm not the sort of person that bashes Stephen Moffat. I'm really not. But I thought to myself, if he would have wrote this story, I would have been hanging from the bloody rafters with like stars going around my head, cross-eyed afterwards. Yeah. So thank heaven somebody like Terrence Dicks wrote this, because he's a really good writer, isn't he? Let's not beat around the bush.
No, he is. He is a great writer, yeah. And I think, as much as I loved Day of the Doctor, and I did enjoy it very much, it didn't hit the heights of celebrating the show for me personally. I mean, I loved it, great episode, but this is a celebration of the show. It's just got everything in there, and I suppose they don't want to do the same thing twice, so they don't want to sort of have all the Doctors in it again. But for me, this is a proper celebration of 20 years of Doctor Who. There's so much stuff in there for the fans and just for a casual viewer. Do you know what I mean? I just think it's a great episode.
Yeah, it's really cool. Very, very cool.
Actually, I say the casual viewer. I don't know if I'm right to say that. I mean, would somebody who never watched Doctor Who, could they watch it, do you think, and understand it? Maybe I'm wrong in saying that.
I think they could, with the exception of the Rassilon bit. Because if you didn't really know who he was and why he's got this ring and why he's in the tomb, I think it could be a bit, people might think, why are they doing this? What's the deal?
Yeah, that's true.
But I think they would pretty much understand, all of the Doctor segments and what's going on.
And I suppose even if they didn't really understand it, it's still fun to watch, isn't it? There's a lot of humour in there and a lot of action as well. So I think they'd enjoy it either way. Yeah,
and put it this way, there are quite a few more really kind of head scratching stories from the classic years that this is quite tame.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, I think this is a nice easy watch.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so let's talk about each Doctor.
Yeah, okay.
What did you think of Richard Hurndall?
Well, actually, I think he does a really good job. I mean, I'm going to show my age here. I mean, when this first went out, I watched it as a kid, and I wasn't aware that it was a different actor.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, I wasn't. I mean, I didn't really sort of, I don't know how old I would have been actually. But yeah, I mean, I just assumed he was the original actor. Obviously, you've got William Hartnell right at the very beginning as well.
Yeah.
Which is
that
a
quote.
lovely, yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? Really nice to have that clip and that speech, which of course has become so sort of famous, hasn't it? Really.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, no, I thought Richard Hundred did a good job. I mean, he is different to William Hartnell, obviously, but I think he tries to incorporate the sort of stubbornness of the Doctor and, you know, the mannerisms and all that. Yeah, I think he does a good job. I think he pulls it off really well.
I thought he was quite cool. There were a couple of times where I thought, because it was quite obvious that in a couple of scenes, it was probably a second or third take, because you can tell that the director would have been like, no, we need a bit more Hartnell here, because his mood changes quite drastically and quite quickly from one moment being quite natural as him, as you know, as he is himself as Richard Hurndall, but it changed quite quickly, and he was very, very William Hartnell just for a moment. So there was these little lines that he said and things which were very very different in delivery and tone than the previous line, which had maybe been 10 seconds before that.
Yeah.
So I think there were times when they probably thought, you know, we need you to be a bit more Hartnell here. You know, this is how he would have said it. You know, this is how he would have delivered this. But overall, I thought he was quite cool. He had that grumpiness, like you say.
I love his reactions to Tegan as well. There's some really nice little moments inside the TARDIS where he just instantly doesn't take to Tegan, does he? When she says, "Oh, I'll come with you," and he sort of goes, "If you must," or something like that. And
Yes,
that's quite
yeah.
Hartnell, and I think that's what you're saying, isn't it? Yeah, there are scenes. I think the TARDIS scenes, particularly, he's directed to be very much like Hartnell in those scenes with Tegan, and they're fun.
Yeah.
You know?
And when I've watched other TV shows or movies in the past, I've always kind of dreaded that moment where they've got a different actor to play the same character. But I didn't really have any complaints with Richard Hurndall. I thought he was quite cool.
Yeah, no, same. Yeah, I thought it works well.
Troughton,
Great.
what a guy! Well, he was so good as the Doctor.
He's just wonderful in this. He's just so much fun, and pairing him with the Brig, because I would have thought, you know, the third Doctor was more sort of paired with the Brig.
Yeah.
So it's unusual to get the second one with the Brigadier, but it works so well. The banter between the two of them is brilliant, isn't it?
I thought the same. I thought they were going to pair Pertwee with the Brig.
Yeah, I would have thought that might have been something to do with obviously having to rewrite it when Tom decided to decline to be in it.
Yeah.
I think they probably had to jumble things around, because I would assume, and I don't know this for sure, but I would assume if Tom had agreed to be in it, he would have been put with Sarah Jane. And then the third Doctor with the Brig, and possibly Jamie was the second Doctor. I don't know. I mean, I'm just guessing, but I assume it's all to do with the sort of knock-on effect of Tom declining to be in it. But it works well. I think the Brig and the second Doctor, there's some really nice lines written for them, really nice banter between the two of them, and it's a lovely moment, isn't it, when he turns up and to the HQ at the beginning.
Oh, the reunion thing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and he's like, yesterday's times or tomorrow's times or whatever, and all that, you know, and that's where that famous line, of course, "You've redecorated, I don't like it," and all that sort of,
Yeah.
you know, it's a great little scene.
Yeah, and I think the more that I watch of Troughton, the more that I find that if you were to pluck any of the classic Doctors out and plop them in current Who, he would be the one for me that would suit the current Doctor Who as it is now.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
Because he seems to have that. Because I know that Matt Smith based a lot of his Doctor on Troughton.
The mannerisms and stuff.
Yeah. And the more I watch Troughton, some of his older stuff, the more I think, you know, he would be so well suited to, if you could, you know, if he was still with us, you could plop him into current Who and it would fit so well. I really enjoy watching him. He's a great Doctor.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on there, actually. Yeah, I think he could work for a modern audience, because someone like the third Doctor. I mean, I'm a big fan of John Pertwee, but yeah, you're right. He was very suave and a bit sort of pretentious at times, and you know, might not necessarily work with a sort of younger audience today.
Yeah,
because he hasn't got that sort of clown-like sort of mischievousness, and yeah, I mean, he's a great Doctor, Pat Troughton.
Really cool.
Yeah,
and he's also got this element of surprise about him. You never know how he's going to return stuff in conversation. Sometimes he has this real big smile on his face, and it's a really happy place. And then literally within a second, when he says his next line, he's got this real sour face, like this grimace. It's just really cool. He's great to watch.
He has, yeah, you're right. He's got a great sort of expression at face, hasn't he? And
Yeah.
Sometimes the way he delivers lines as well is quite sort of. He sort of says, "Oh dear," and he's very sort of. Yeah, he's just very unique, I think, Patrick Troughton, and he slips back into the role amazingly well, considering he can't. He wouldn't have played that part for quite some time. And he just, he's just brilliant.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
great.
Just slots straight back into the second Doctor, I think.
Really, very cool. What about Mr. Pertwee?
Yeah, I was going to say, which kind of leads us on to Pertwee. Now, I'm a big Pertwee fan, but having watched this again before we recorded, watched this the other day, and he doesn't quite slip back into the same character. He's almost too much John Pertwee and not enough Doctor. It's it's not a criticism. He's still really good, but I did sort of feel there are moments when there's moments when he is the Doctor, like when they meet the Raston robot and stuff, and he's very much in role then. But then there's other bits where he's sort of when he first meets Sarah Jane and that, and he's not quite back into the sort of same character of the third Doctor, if you see what I mean. I mean, he's still good in it, don't get me wrong.
No, I totally agree.
But do you know what I mean?
I thought he was a bit quiet. That's what I thought. He was a bit kind of reserved a little bit, like he didn't really want to go for it like he used to when he was doing that role.
Yeah.
And it was a real, not a shame, because like you say, he was still quite good in it. I didn't feel like, oh, that was a bit of a letdown. The third Doctor, he still delivered a good performance for me. But he was a bit, I don't know what the right word to use is really, but he was a bit quiet, wasn't he? He wasn't like the older Doctor that we know.
No, that's right. He's not quite the same sort of character. Yeah, that's right. And this is a strange thing to say, but I've never liked his outfit. I don't like that big coat he's got on. The third Doctor to me is maybe, I don't know. I was going to say maybe he couldn't pull it off, but I'm sure he could. But the sort of frilly shirts and the velvet jackets and all that, maybe it would have looked a bit ridiculous. I don't know, but yeah, something about it doesn't 100% work for me. And the pairing with Sarah Jane is a bit odd as well. I mean, I love Sarah Jane, but she doesn't really get a lot to do in this apart from sort of fall down that cliff and scream. And she's not really in the sort of Sarah Jane character, particularly.
I read you. Yeah, it's a very similar thing to Pertwee though. It just felt like she wasn't really kind of 100% into it and giving her best like she was when she was actually in the show.
No, I mean, it's difficult because you've got so many people in there. It's difficult to give them stuff to do. But she's a bit sort of whiny in it, and it's more down to the script than her, is what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? She's, Liz Sladen's great, but yeah, in terms of the sort of character in it, it is not sort of bang on the money, if you like.
Yeah, and it's I think some of this is due to the runtime. It's not, with some classic stories, it can go on for quite a while, and that gives you a lot of scope, a lot of room to write various things in for your characters, and they can go off and do stuff. But I think with this one, what was it, 90 minutes, 80 minutes, something like that?
90 minutes, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So, with this many characters, you can't write a great script for every single person because there's just not enough screen time and there's not enough.
Oh no, that's right.
You know what I mean?
And then Turlo and Tegan don't get. Turlo gets absolutely nothing to do, does he? Actually, I was watching it the other night. He gets to make a cup of tea, and for the first Doctor, but he really doesn't get anything to do in this story at all. He had a really easy day at the office that for this one, didn't he?
He had a quiet one for sure.
Yeah,
and I mean, Tegan, she didn't really have a great deal. I mean, she was very, I don't know, she was very. Just there, like a bit like Sarah Jane, really. She was just kind of there. Just she said what she needed to say a few times. She didn't really get involved too much.
No, and as I say, the best scenes really is with when she's with William Hartnell, Richard Hundrell, and there, he's sort of being very chauvinist and stuff, and Peter Davison's trying to sort of calm her down because obviously she's quite a fiery character. That works really well, actually, showing the difference between the sort of times and the Doctors and stuff. The fact he is go and make some dinner and sort of thing. She's like, hang on a minute,
Yeah.
That works well.
Yeah, and let's yeah, you're right. And let's talk about, before we move on to Tom Baker, let's talk about Peter Davison. He was quite cool. I like Peter Davison.
I like Peter Davison. Yeah,
Very cool.
I think he's a good Doctor. Yeah.
I wanted to see a bit more of him. Actually, I wanted to see a bit more of all of them, but I wanted to see a bit more of Davison. Because I know that he probably finished with the most amount of screen time, but I wanted to see a bit more of Peter Davison, if you know what I mean. I wanted to see, because there are some of his own episodes are cracking, and when he really goes for it, he's so good to watch. So I wanted to see a bit of that in this episode. I wanted to see him go for it a bit more, but he was just a tad quiet, a bit like Pertwee, just a bit quiet.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a sense of sort of like, obviously there's a lot of, I don't know, not big egos, but there's a lot of big, obviously they were sort of giving each other their own space maybe a bit and trying not to outdo each other. Maybe that was why, but I know what you mean. It would have been nice to see him with a bit more fire in his belly in this story.
Yeah.
Because I love it when he meets the Master and the Cybermen are coming down the hill, and there's something about Peter's Doctor and Anthony Ainley that works incredibly well. I don't know what it is, but I like those two together. So they don't get a lot of screen time together in this.
Yeah.
But I like that scene where they're coming down and, the Doctor and the Master just having a chat, and then the Master gets zapped.
Yeah, that was cool, actually.
Zapped. Yeah. What do you think of the Cybermen in this story, by the way?
Cybermen, I thought they were okay.
Mm-hmm.
I did think that they were going to cause a bit more trouble.
Right.
I thought they were going to be a bit more menacing for the Doctor, but
right.
I don't know. I quite like the classics. I was going to say Spider-Man then.
Oh,
the classic Spider-Man.
Yeah, the classic Cyber Spider.
Yeah, I quite like the classic Cybermen. I think they're very cool, and they haven't got this kind of uselessness Iron Man look about them that they have now.
I love the design of them in this. I think they look brilliant.
Yeah, they've got this almost menacing effect to them, but they've got this vulnerability as well.
Because what about the scene with the Raston robot, though? I mean, when they're all getting slaughtered, that's quite a scene, isn't it? I mean, considering that's a guy in a pair of silver spandex or whatever, don't you think he works incredibly well? It is quite vicious, isn't it? I mean, they literally get slaughtered, and But I love the design of the Cybermen, and I think you're right. They don't get a lot to do in the story, but I still think they're quite menacing in the scenes they're in. Although that bomb that they build is badass, but I mean, why they need that giant bomb just to get in the TARDIS, I don't know. But,
it wouldn't have worked anyway, would it?
No,
I don't think so.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. But I love it all the same.
Actually, I was going to mention the Raston robot later.
Oh right.
But seeing as you, it's I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I would love to see in a modern Who story, the Raston robot.
Oh yes, that would be great. I mean, it's so simple, isn't it? It's such a simple design, but it's vicious, isn't it? These blimmin' great spears and stuff coming out of it. Absolutely. Yeah, they could do that. That'd be great.
Yeah, the Cybermen coming over the hill, he just cleaned up.
He did, yeah. I mean, when that last scene of him just stood there and he just chops the Cyberman's head off, it's just like, whoa, he's not taking any nonsense.
Yeah, it's like the guy programming him. He's like, if you see Cybermen, don't take any take any crap.
Don't take it, yeah.
Very cool. Tom Baker, what are we going to do with him?
Well, Tom...
Why did he not agree to be in this?
Well, I think he has said since that he regrets it. But if you think about it, it was only 2 years since he left the part. And I think he just felt it was sort of too soon, really. I think he just sort of, I don't know. I have a feeling it was quite late in the day that he actually decided not to do it, wasn't it? I think scripts were sort of half written and stuff. And then because I might be wrong, but I think he had a sort of provisionally said he'll do it. And then he just decided no, But I know it would have been phenomenal if he'd been in it.
Yeah, but, it would have been very cool, because I thought that. Now I don't know the answer to this. Maybe you do, buddy. Mm-hmm. But the scenes that he was in it, were they filmed for this, or did they just nick like some outtakes or something from a previous episode?
No, they're from Sharda, a Douglas Adams story, which never got finished because there was industrial action at the BBC. So they had this half-finished story that they'd sort of filmed a lot of on location in Cambridge and stuff. And then when they tried to remount finishing the story, they couldn't do it because actors had already sort of signed on to other work. So it was as much as they tried, they couldn't get that story finished. So Sharda's this sort of what do you call it? It's become this sort of mythical story. It has been released. It's worth checking out. Actually, there's a really good documentary on it. But because this story was laying in the vaults, John Nathan Turner thought, well, I'll use clips from that because no one's seen it. Probably no one knew about it at the time.
Yeah.
And so it, in a way, it works quite well. If you didn't know, I mean, I didn't know for many years. I just assumed he filmed it, but yeah, that's what it is. It's from a story that just never got finished, and they had it in the vault so they could sort of pick a couple of clips from it. So
okay, yeah, I had my suspicion because the film stock looks different.
Yeah,
so I thought, is this like something that they've just taken? So it is a shame that he was. I really wanted to see him because he's my favourite classic Doctor. Tom Baker. So I was really looking forward because with a lot of these classic Doctor stories, I don't know anything. I've really not read up on them. I don't want any spoilers. Whenever I check out a new one, I'd want to go into it fresh.
Right.
So I didn't read too much on it. I didn't read any reviews or anything like that. So I was really looking forward to seeing some more Tom Baker, and it just didn't happen. And I was quite disappointed. But Troughton and Davison and the Master, they kind of made up for it. They're like the best bits for me.
Do you think Tom would have stole the show if he'd been in it?
Yes.
Because I get the feeling he would have as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to see like an alternative, like in an alternative universe where he did say yes. I'd love to see what it would have been like if he was in it. But I do get the feeling he would have stole the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
he's a really strong character as well, isn't he? He's very.
He's just such a presence on screen. I mean, I was watching the DVD with the production subtitles on, and apparently John Nathan Turner, the producer, was desperate to get him involved. He really wanted him in it. He was apparently really gutted that he didn't sort of manage to secure him in there. But it would have been a different show. There's no way about it. I mean, it would have been a different ball game if Tom had been in there.
Absolutely.
And what about K9? We had a little cameo from him.
Oh, do you know, the thing is, when I watch that scene, it takes me back to being a kid, mate, because I just remember loving seeing K9.
K9!
When he comes wheeling out and saying, don't go, danger, mistress, and all this, and beware of the dog. Mate, as a young kid, I loved all that. Watching it again now, you just sort of smile and think, K9. But yeah, I loved that as a kid.
And you've met John Leeson, haven't you?
Yeah, he's a smashing bloke. He's a lovely bloke, he is.
And he can still do the voice exactly as when he was like a young man.
Yeah, he doesn't have any sort of. Well, he probably did have treatment used on the voice, but yeah, he just sort of breaks into it. There's a famous thing about when they did a big convention at Longley around this time of when this all came out. It might have even been for the 20th anniversary. And poor old John Leeson was sort of put in a booth and had to just commentate throughout the whole day as K9. And apparently it just ripped his vocal cords out. He just said by the end of it, he just couldn't speak.
Oh,
Poor bloke. And apparently all the fans were like, we're getting a bit bored now. We've had K9 for like 7 hours, just blaring over the loudspeaker. But
we're getting bored now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, probably really good fun to begin with. And then after sort of 30 minutes, let alone a couple of hours, you're probably like, oh, give it a rest, John.
Yeah, come on, man. This is great in a little bit now.
Yeah, that's right.
But okay.
So what about the Brig before we move on to the story itself? Like the Brig in this?
Love it. Yeah, I love the Brig.
He's very cool, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
I love stories when the Brig's. Any story that's in Inferno especially. Love that.
Oh, classic. One of my faves.
Any story with the Brigadier, just very cool.
Yeah, I think, again, he's not in it that much, but he gets some nice lines in this. And, I think he's really good in it. I love the bit where they're going into the tunnel and the Yetis after them. And he's being really sarcastic as he's like, well, what have you got me into now? And all this sort of stuff. And, he's good. Yeah. Love the Brig.
And the thing that I liked about his character and the way that it was, well, maybe not necessarily the way it was written, but the way that the Brigadier actually was in this, the way that Nicholas Courtney plays this, is very much a case of for God's sake, can we wrap this up?
Yeah, that's right.
It was all the time. He was like, his tone and the way he put this across was very much like, oh, for God's sake, when are we going home, sort of thing. It was really cool. Love that.
That's right. He just wants to get back to that inaugural address, doesn't he? He's just like, if you hadn't have blimmin' turned up when you did, I wouldn't be in this mess, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'd be enjoying a nice port at a dinner table now and all this. Yeah, he's wonderful. Nick Courtney's just great, I think.
Yeah, and probably at the time, Nick Courtney probably did want to get down the pub.
Probably did. Yeah, he probably did.
Wasn't he famous for, during like breaks for filming, just buggering off down the pub and sinking a few jars?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
What a guy. What a guy. Right, so story very quickly. What do you reckon?
Well, it is a fairly simple story overall, isn't it? I mean, once we actually get to the sort of climax of it, I just think it's enjoyable. I just think it's really good fun from start to finish. Yeah,
I agree. I thought it was one of those stories where you didn't have to think too much. You could just sit there and take it in, absorb it, really enjoy these doctors. And it's got a nice conclusion as well, happy ending.
Yeah, and I like the payoff, actually, the fact that it's sort of saying to you what, immortality and all that. And I think that when he goes into the wall and you just see the eyes moving in the two, I think that's really creepy. And I love it. I think it works really well, compared to the sort of lightness of the episode and stuff. And and I love it when the Bruce is like, "Are you after immortality as well?" And they're like, "Oh no. Having just seen him go into a paving slab on the wall." That
was creepy though.
Yeah, I think it wraps up really nicely, and the Doctor going on the run at the end. A nice little sort of in joke. It all works for me. I really, really enjoy this story. I never get bored of watching it.
Yeah, I thought it was just a really enjoyable, laid-back story, a really nice celebration for the 20th.
Yeah.
And it wasn't too timey-wimey, didn't take you all over the place here and there. And it was just very cool. Liked it. What would you say out of 10?
Do you know what? I'm honestly, I'm going to give it I was going to give it a 10 out of 10. I was 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I blooming love it.
Whoa, you're going max.
I am.
You're going to max out the score.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, I'm going to give it a 9.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm not going to give it a 10 is because there was no Tom Baker.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to give it a 9. And that's really, we do not dish out 9s or 10s lightly.
No, we don't.
Really good story, though. Great.
Yeah, definitely.
So the 5 Doctors, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. That's going to wrap it.
That is.
So the 5 Doctors, it's probably a 9.5 average then between us.
Yeah, I reckon that's about right. And I meant to say we got some comments on the old Facebook as well, didn't we? From people saying how much they liked it.
Yeah, we got Jace Howes.
Yeah.
So it was a bit short, but great story, could have been longer. We had Nick Gill, good friend of mine. So it's a great ensemble piece. William Handel gives a great performance as the first Doctor, but shame they didn't get together until the end.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see a bit more.
Yeah.
I had a couple. I had Brad Black said William Handel, meaning Richard Handel, is frightening as William Hartnell, right down to the similarity in names. It was a fitting anniversary tribute.
Yeah, cool.
I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Magni Egda de Bruckier. He loved it, but would have been better with Tom Baker in it, he says. Try and get through these quick. Spence Horton Harpin, really enjoyed this story when it first transmitted. Happily watch it now. Matthew Thomas, favourite anniversary special, loved it.
Cool.
And Paula Black, she says, too bad Tom Baker didn't participate. Wonder if he regrets it. Love the multiple Doctor story. Richard Hundrell, amazing. First Doctor, still thinks Pertwee stole the show.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Big fan there, Paula.
Yeah, cool. On Twitter, I had Phil Vernon. I just remember at the time being disappointed there wasn't much Tom Baker. Agree with that. And Cousins 2019. I love the 5 Doctors, one of the best specials.
Yes.
Cool. So that is going to wrap for episode 19. Thank you very much for joining us. As usual, jump over to bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can find links to Twitter and Facebook. Jump on there, have a chat with us. And we will see you for episode 20.
Yeah. See you then.
Bye-bye. Oh, Alonzi.
Alonzi.
3, 2, 1. Alonzi.